This is, as I said, lesson 269. A very simple lesson, but filled with so much truth, I think, that can really help us to look a little bit more deeply at our own lives, and in a very practical way. I love this. My sight goes forth to look upon Christ's face. You know, we always think of our sight. The moment you say your sight, you think of your eyes, right? We think of what we see with our physical eyes. Okay, if you're good, you don't think that way. But there's something more going on here. I was laughing about the fact when I was thinking about tonight's sight and seeing, Paul and I founded an inner city children's course 20 years ago based in Santa Ana. So the majority of our families are Hispanic, and the majority of the parents many times don't speak English. The kids speak great English, and so they oftentimes interpret. But when the parents would come with their other little kids, many times the littlest ones, like 2 and 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds that they would have running all around, they would be telling their kids all the time, mira, mira, mira. And mira means look, look, look. And but it means so much more than look. It didn't mean just look. It was the way they got their attention. It was the way they showed them something. It was the way they brought them back into discipline. Mira meant a lot of different things. And I realized that when my son was little, I still do it, that I would tell him the same thing. Look, 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 come here, come here. Look, 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 don't miss this. It meant so many things. It meant I want to show you something. This is really important. Focus on this. There were a lot of things that the word look meant. And so sight, when we're thinking about this, means so much more than just looking with our physical eyes, because we know how deceptive sight is, right? Did you see the white dress or the blue dress? The moment I say that, everybody knows. I'm talking about the internet sensation that happened a while back. It was the whole big thing. What did you see? And there was all this analysis of what people saw depending on what the image was next to, or what your past history was. And we also know that our brains fill in a lot of what we see. That's why you can look at some of those optical illusions. I think Scientific American always loves to do these once a year or every 2 or 3 years. They'll do all these optical illusions in the magazine and say, what are you seeing? We all know probably the famous one. Is it a woman's face or is it a vase? You know, I mean, we know these things. We've kind of grown up knowing our sight is not very reliable. And our brain fills a lot of stuff in. So what are we really seeing? And that's where we say, well, I saw it with my eyes. My eyes don't lie. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. You know, and so that's kind of what the course, I think the more we learn about the brain, the more we learn, we realize, no, it's pretty faulty to depend upon these senses. And so what this is saying is, we have to look deeper. It's not just, I'm good, they're bad. The course is always saying, there's a path between the two options that we have so believed in this world. And that's our path now. And we need to get to that awareness. We need to find that awareness. But it says you cannot find it alone because you believe in the two alternatives. So to get to that truth, you need help. And that's why this dedication every day, I ask your blessing on my sight today, Christ, is so important for us because it gives us a deeper vision. It gives us an ability to focus more deeply on what we think we see, to finally see the truth. And so this just says, I ask your blessing on my sight today. Why? Because my sight, it is the means which you have chosen to become the way to show me my mistakes and look beyond them. Now, I think there's two really important paths in there, two really important points, I should say. One is you got to look at the mistakes you made and then you can move past them. If you never look, you don't move past them. You know, even with kids, you know, you always have to say, well, this is probably not helpful, so we need to figure out a better way to handle X, Y, Z. And having compassion is really what this chosen path is going to say, which is what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is a willingness to look with love. It's not a, I forgive you, you're so much better than I am, I did a bad thing and I'm going to offer forgiveness to you, or you're going to offer forgiveness to me. It has nothing to do with that. Forgiveness is really a clearing away of the blocks so you can see the extensions of love and the calls for love. That's really what forgiveness is. You know, it's seeing your brother as he truly is through this face of Christ. It's seen with clarity. And wouldn't we all like to see clearly what's going on every moment of the day? That's the kind of focus, the laser kind of focus we want. We want to know that we are not missing something. We want to see more clearly what is going on. And what this is saying is you cannot see that unless you look at what it is, bring the darkness to the light, is what the Course is always saying. Bring this to your awareness. Invite the Holy Spirit into whatever it is that seems to be the fearful judgment you have or the angry thought you have, and allow Him to show you the truth. To look upon Christ's sight, to look at your mistakes and to be able to move beyond them. Because unless we look, we cannot move beyond them. And unless we look, He cannot help us. The Course is always saying, whatever you keep private from yourself, from the Holy Spirit, whatever you think is right and you don't need to bother with, then He cannot help. It says you have to bring every thought to Him. Even the ones you think that are pretty good. This is a good thought. This is a nice thought. We're asked to bring all of those to Him, to purify, to look at and sift through. I've often said the Holy Spirit is kind of like good at doing spring house cleaning. He's what's that guy's, Nate Berkus? Is that the guy who Oprah used, who like went through her closet and told her what she should keep and what she shouldn't keep? You know, he's kind of the Nate Berkus of truth. You know, he kind of gets in there and says, you don't need this anymore. This doesn't look good on you, and clean this out and fix this, and you know, we can make so much more room if you'll just move through all this junk that you've been holding on to. It's not worthy of you. I've always said, how many of you have ever gone to Knott's Berry Farm or any of those old ghost towns? We've all gone to those old ghost towns, right? When Jeffrey was little, he always wanted to go to the old ghost town, and he finally, because it cost like what, $12, $15 to pan for gold. You ever panned for gold? Okay, we've all probably done it. And it's an expensive thing to do because they actually do give you a little bit of gold, but you get to see what it was like in the old gold mining days. And when Jeffrey was in the 4th grade and they were studying California history and the gold strike and Eureka, and we went there and he got the old pan. I remember when I was a kid and I did it. And you'd get that thing and you were so excited, you stood in line, you paid all your money. They give you an old pan filled with sand and that ice cold water, and you sit there and you go like this for 2 seconds and you go, I'm done. Where's my gold? You know, and kids, you get tired, you know, because panning for gold was just a boring, cold, debilitating, awful thing. And here I'm paying to do it, standing on my little box because I'm not tall enough to stand there, sifting through the gold and hoping I'm going to get a little piece of gold at the end. And then finally, after you do this for a certain period of time and they can see that the kid is no longer seeing this as fun and they're about to cry, you know, the old gold miner gets up there and says, here, let me help you. And then they oh my gosh, they know what they're doing, right? They take that thing and they swift it around and all the sand goes out. And I don't know if then they throw a little gold in there or something, but all of a sudden, gold comes out into that little tube and wow, eureka, we got it. And that's always reminded me of what the Holy Spirit is like. We sit there, sift and sift and sift. And I've done my analysis. I've done my process of going through all these things. And what He's saying is if you just give it to the Holy Spirit, what He does is just sifts it all out there and gives you the gold. Just get rid of all that sand. You don't have to keep your hand in those dirty old cold water. You don't have to keep sifting away at that sand. He can cut through our crap. But we have to be willing to give it to Him. And that's what this is saying. It says, your sight is the means which you have chosen to become the way to show me my mistakes, look at them, that sifty sand, and look beyond them. There's nothing valuable in you sitting there beating yourself up. We've done that enough. Beating yourself up does not make you stop doing the procedure anymore. It's lifting us to a new perception. I was watching a documentary. Actually, I think it was, what was it? It was Where to Invade Next by Michael Moore. You might not like it if you don't like Michael Moore. But one of the things he was doing was just saying, where should we invade to get the best ideas? That's what the documentary was about. I don't know if any of you watched it, but one of the things was our prison system. We incarcerate more people than any other country in the world. Bravo for us. And we still have a crime problem. Now, they were going to Germany and some of the other countries that have a much different approach to rehabilitation. It really does mean rehabilitation. And they've got much less crime than the United States and lock up much less people than we do, or quite a bit fewer people than we do. And that's been noted on 60 Minutes too, and as a matter of fact, a lot of our countries, a lot of our states, I think even California has gone over to some of those countries, especially Germany, to look at what they do, because we need to revamp our prison system. And we certainly shouldn't make it a money-making system where it's private sector. So they're kind of saying we need to look at these things and revamp them, you know, so that they can be something that's productive. So the same thing's true with us. If you're taking the same old problems and beating yourself up with them over and over and over again, and expecting that because you beat yourself up about them, that they're going to make any change, you might as well just give it up now, hang it up now, because it's not going to make a change. What's going to make a change is if we do something that gives you hope, gives you a sense of possibility. And that's exactly what the Holy Spirit is about. You are a spiritual being, you've all heard this, having a human experience. It's not your reality. So we need to kind of move past the limitations to the truth.